So picture this, because it has probably happened to you and you didn't even clock it. You buy a call option and the stock moves $1 in your direction and your option goes up about 50 cents, which feels fine. That's what you expected. Then the stock moves one more dollar, same stock, same kind of move, and this time your option jumps 80 cents. And if you were paying attention, something in the back of your head went, wait a minute, why did the second dollar pay me more than the first one? Nothing changed. Same contract, same day, same everything. But your option didn't just go up, it actually sped up. And the moment you noticed that, congratulations, you already met gamma, you just didn't know its name yet. And here's the thing that genuinely bugs me. Most traders use options for years without ever really understanding this. They know the Greeks exist, they nod politely when somebody says the word, and they quietly pray. Nobody asks a follow-up question, which is a shame because gamma is not advanced math. I promise you. It's actually something you understood perfectly when you were 2 years old, and then school spent 15 years talking you out of it. My name is ST, and I spend way too much time trying to make sense of the market. If you've ever stared at the word gamma in some textbook and felt your eyes just slide right off the page, subscribe and stick around, because today I'm going to explain the whole thing with a ball and a hill, and by the end of this video, you're going to understand a force that pushes billions of dollars around every single day better than most of the people actually trading it. So let's do this properly, like you're 2 years old. And I'm making you a promise right now, I am only going to use things a toddler owns. A ball, a hill, a fence, and a babysitter. That's the entire toolkit for today. So start with the ball. You're standing at the top of a grassy hill, and you let go of a ball. In the first second, it rolls just a little bit. In the next second, it rolls a bit more than that. And a few seconds after that, the thing is flying, it's bouncing, it's gone, and you're chasing it down the hill like an idiot. Now here's the question a 2-year-old never thinks to ask, but every single trader should. What actually changed while that ball was rolling? Because nobody pushed it harder halfway down. The hill didn't suddenly get steeper. The answer is that the ball has two separate things going on at the same time. It has a speed, which is just how fast it's moving right now, and then it has something sneakier underneath that, which is that the speed itself keeps growing. Every second that passes, the rolling gets a little faster than it was. So the ball isn't just moving, the ball's movement is changing while you watch it. And honestly, that's the entire lesson. That's the whole video in one image. There's the speed, and then there's the change in the speed. If you can hold on to those two ideas, you now own the two most feared letters in all of options trading, and everything else from here is just me showing you where they're hiding. Because here's the connection. An option has a speed too, and traders call that speed delta. Delta is nothing more than how much your option moves when the stock moves $1. That's the whole definition. If your call has a delta of 50, then the stock goes up $1 and your option gains about 50 cents. If you've ever wondered why your option only caught half of the stock's move, that's delta doing exactly what it said it would do. And different options run at different speeds. An option that's at the money, where the strike price sits right about where the stock is trading, runs at about a delta of 50, so it catches roughly half of every move. An option that's deep in the money runs near a delta of 100, which means it basically moves like the stock itself. You're almost just holding shares at that point. And a far out of the money option, the cheap lottery ticket we've talked about on this channel before, runs near a delta of 0. So the stock moves and your little ticket barely even twitches. Some options are fast, some options are slow, and delta is just the speedometer telling you which one you're holding. Okay, so if delta is the speed, then what's gamma? Gamma is the hill. Gamma is how much your option's speed changes as the stock moves. Let me say that again because it's the sentence this whole video is built on. Delta is the speed, and gamma is the speeding up. So go back to the cold open for a second. Your call gained 50 cents on the first dollar and then 80 cents on the second dollar. And the reason is that the move itself made your option faster. As the stock walked toward your strike, your option was picking up delta the whole way. The 50 delta became a 60, the 60 became a 75, and the thing was literally accelerating underneath your position while you watched. That is gamma. The stock walking toward your strike is the ball rolling down the hill, and every step it takes, the option gets a little quicker, because gamma is the rate at which delta grows. the exact same way the ball speeds up because rolling downhill feeds on itself. Now here's where it stops being a vocabulary lesson and starts being something that actually matters for your account. Gamma is not spread out evenly across all options. It bunches up hard in one very specific place. Gamma is at its absolute biggest when the option is at the money, sitting right at the strike, and close to expiration. And you can understand exactly why with the toddler toolkit. Imagine the strike price is a fence at the bottom of the hill, and your option only pays if the ball ends up on the far side of that fence. A month before expiration, the ball is still way up the hill somewhere. Anything could happen between now and the end. So one more little step doesn't really change the odds that much. Your option speed barely moves. But now picture the final hours before expiry and the ball is wobbling right at the fence line. Right there, every tiny nudge is the entire game. 1 inch to the left and your option is worth absolutely nothing. 1 inch to the right and it pays out. So right at that fence in those final moments, your option speed is swinging violently with every little wiggle of the stock. The delta is whipping from 20 to 80 and back to 30 in minutes. That whipping, that violence, that's gamma at maximum power. And traders even have a name for holding an option in that exact spot at that exact time. They call it riding the gamma knife. And the name is honest, which brings us to the part where this becomes a story about the entire market, because the modern market has done something kind of incredible. It fell completely in love with those final hours. The same day options we covered before on this channel, the 0DTE contracts, the ones that are born in the morning and die by the close, now make up roughly 60% of all S&P 500 option volume. Think about what that actually means for a second. 60% of the action in the single most important options market on the planet is now living in the exact zone where gamma is at its most violent, the last few hours before expiry, where every single contract is a ball wobbling right at a fence. That's not some small detail for the nerds in the back. That is most of the market voluntarily choosing to spend every single trading day camped out on the steepest part of the hill. Now, I can already hear the question forming because it's the right question to ask. Okay, ST, that's cute, my option speeds up, but why would my little contract speeding up move the entire market? Totally fair. So here's the missing piece, and I'm keeping my toddler promise. When you buy an option, somebody has to sell it to you, and that somebody is almost always a market maker, a professional who genuinely does not want to gamble on direction at all, not even a little. Their whole business is staying neutral and collecting the spread. So think of the market maker as the babysitter. The babysitter does not care where the toddler wants to go. The babysitter has exactly one job in this world, and that job is to stay within arm's reach of the kid at all times. In this picture, you, the option buyer, you're the toddler, and your option's delta is how fast you're toddling across the playground. So when your option speeds up, the babysitter has to speed up too, buying or selling stock to stay balanced against you. And when gamma is huge, when we're in those final hours at the fence, the toddler is sprinting in a brand new direction every 30 seconds, and the babysitter, who by the way is the size of an office building and moves billions of dollars, has to sprint right along with them every single time. Now multiply that picture by every option on every screen in America, and you start to understand certain afternoons. The market isn't moving because of news, and it isn't moving because somebody changed their opinion about the economy. It's moving because 10,000 giant babysitters are all sprinting after the same toddler at the same time. And what happens when all of that sprinting starts feeding on itself, when the chasing becomes the thing being chased, that's a whole separate animal, and I made an entire video about it, so I'll leave that door right there. And let me make this concrete with actual dollars, because analogies are nice, but your account runs on numbers. Say a stock is trading at $100, and you buy the 105 strike call expiring this Friday for 50 cents, which is $50 for the contract. Right now, that thing might have a delta of around 20, so the stock moves $1, and you make about 20 cents. Slow, sleepy, nothing to see here, but now the stock starts running and it hits 103, and your delta isn't 20 anymore, it's more like 40, so the next dollar pays you 40 cents instead of 20. The stock touches 105, right at your strike, and now your delta is 50 and climbing, and every dollar after that is paying you more than the one before it. By the time the stock is at 108, your 50-cent option might be trading north of $3, and you're up several 100% on a 3% move in the stock. That entire snowball, every single step of it, was gamma quietly raising your option speed while you watched the price. Nobody changed the rules halfway through. The acceleration was the rule. And before any of this starts to sound like some secret the professionals keep locked in a vault, let me kill that idea right now, because honesty is the whole policy on this channel. Gamma is not hidden from you. It's printed on the same option chain you already scroll past every single day. Every broker app you've ever used shows you the Greeks for free. It's sitting one tap away from the price you obsess over. Open your platform right now, pull up any option chain, and look for the little tab or the column header that says Greeks, and there it is. Delta sitting next to gamma, the speed sitting right next to the speeding up, free of charge. Nobody buried this information. It just has an intimidating Greek name, and it lives one column to the right of where most people stop reading. The most market-moving number of the modern era is sitting in plain sight, behind a little tab labeled Greeks that almost nobody ever bothers to open. And while you're in there, here's a tiny habit that puts you ahead of most people trading these things. Before you buy any option, glance at the delta, because that one number is telling you what the market thinks your real chances are. A 20 delta option is the market gently telling you this probably doesn't get there, and a 50 delta option is a coin flip with better manners. You don't need a math degree, you need one extra glance at one extra column before you click buy. So let us land this thing the way a 2-year-old would want us to. Why should you actually care? Because gamma turns out to be the honest explanation for the two most emotional experiences in all of options trading, the miracle and the heartbreak. The miracle is that screenshot you have seen 100 times, the $20 option that turned into $2,000 in one single afternoon. That is not luck wearing a costume, that is gamma doing exactly what we just described. A cheap, out-of-the-money option starts out slow, near zero delta, basically asleep. Then the stock starts walking toward the strike, and the option wakes up, and it speeds up, and then the speeding up itself speeds up, the ball rolling down the hill, every dollar of stock movement paying you more than the dollar before it. It is compounding, except it is happening inside a single afternoon instead of over 30 years. And the heartbreak, well, the heartbreak is the exact same force looked at in a mirror. You hold that option right at the fence going into the final hours, the ball wobbles 1 inch the wrong way, and the position that was accelerating toward a jackpot decelerates to zero before you have finished your coffee. It is the same hill and the same ball. Gamma, genuinely, does not care which side of the fence your money is standing on. Its only job is to make everything happen faster at the end. So here is the entire video in one breath, toddler style. An option has a speed, and that speed is called delta. That speed changes as the stock moves, and the change is called gamma. The change is gentle when you are far from the strike and far from expiration, and it gets violent right at the strike in the final hours, which happens to be exactly where the modern market has decided to spend most of its time playing. And because giant professionals are forced to chase that speed all day long just to stay balanced, a letter from the Greek alphabet ends up shoving the entire S&P 500 around on a random quiet Tuesday, while everybody on TV looks for a headline to explain it. So the next time your option gains 50 cents on the first dollar and 80 cents on the second, you are not going to think the market is broken, and you are not going to think your broker is lying to you. You're going to see a ball halfway down a grassy hill, picking up speed exactly the way it is supposed to. 2-year-olds understand gamma perfectly. They have always understood it. They just call it wee. The only thing trading ever added to it was a fence at the bottom of the hill and the small, expensive detail of which side of that fence your money happens to be standing on when everything stops rolling. I will see you on the next one.